72% of the time the market goes up. And the answer came to me. And that's when I developed my chart. The answer came to me is because, just like Caterpillar, when they pull their money out, you get out. Whoa.
It's your daily dose of how to manage your money. And now it's time for Phil's Gang on the Off the Wall Street Network.
Oh, God. I get nuts.
With your host, Phil Grande.
Bye. And thank you for joining me in my podcast. Hi, I'm Phil Grande, philsgang.com. This is amazing. Over the weekend, I'm listening to Hannity, and I'm also listening to Charles Payne. Listen to what they have to say about the market.
What do you make of all these numbers? You do this every day.
It's you started off talking about a temperature check. I say sizzling. That's the temperature, sizzling.
Sizzling? It's unbelievable. That is not true. Let me explain what's going on. This is unbelievable. Sizzling? Are you kidding me? If you go back and take a look, they're bragging about the GDP, sizzling. Well, guess what? The truth is, the AI chips are holding up the GDP. That's right. There's 11 sectors in the stock market. One sector out of 11 is holding up the whole GDP. NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, Micron, and Broadcom. They're holding it up. And the people who make the chip machines, okay, ASML, AMAT, Lam, and Clack. So you have four companies who make the AI machines, and you have the other companies who buy the machines, around $300 million apiece, to make chips. That's holding up the whole GDP. There's 11 sectors. It's insane. Sizzling? It's not sizzling. Are you kidding me? That's sizzling? One sector out of 11? What are you, nuts? Makes no sense. So again, you got AI stocks are holding up the entire S&P and the NASDAQ. This is the first time in history, modern history, that one product, one category, held up the economy and the market. That is so dangerous. Sizzling? It's just straight out lying. There is nothing more dangerous than a one-product economy. Now, if you take a look at the chip sector, now, as I say, it's been holding up the GDP, the whole GDP, for 12 to 15 months. And over the last 6 months, it's the only thing holding up our whole economy and stock market. I mean, you talk about dangerous, that's just crazy. Now, if you take a look at danger, the consequences are severe when you have a one-product economy. I mean, that's just nuts. Or one-product stock market. It makes no sense. This is the exact setup that starts a recession, or worse, a violent market reversal. So let's take a look. Go back to October 2023. We had a 10% correction. March 2026, we had a 10% correction. Those two, remember now, October 2023 and 2026. Now, in the last 12 to 15 months, as I said, especially the last 6 months, if it wasn't for these chip machines and the people who buy those machines, we'd have no market at all. So this all started in 2025. You had NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, Micron, and Broadcom. Massive AI capacity expansion. And they were placing huge orders for chip-making machines. And this shows up in the GDP in equipment spending. That's not strong. And then, late 2025, equipment spending became the only strong part of GDP. That's it. So, right now, more than 3/4 of our GDP is a handful of stocks, the four companies that make the machine for the chips, and about 6 companies that buy the machines to manufacture chips for their use. So when you hear how it's sizzling, that's a bold-faced lie. They don't know what they're talking about. And consumer spending has slowed terribly. Housing has slowed. Manufacturing has slowed. The service sector has slowed. I mean, everything is just slowed. So when you say, the GDP is sizzling with one product, I don't think so. So just think about it. A tiny slice of the AI spending is holding up the entire 2% GDP that they're saying is sizzling. That's insane. It's not the consumer. It's not housing. This is what we want. We want consumers. We want housing. In fact, you go and look up big ticket items, durable goods, nothing. Terrible. People don't have the money. One group out of 11 is sizzling. That's just insane. So again, next time you hear how the economy is sizzling, or GDP is sizzling, our growth is sizzling, totally not true. Just not true. So and if you go look, the need for chips, let's go back in history. It's not the same as, the need for chips is not the same as continue spending on chips. That's a big difference. Every chip cycle in history has peaked and stopped. At some point, the companies stopped needing chips. Take a look at what happened in 1995. What happened in 2000, 2010, 2018, 2022. The same exact thing. And that's where we're headed now. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and get out of your chip stocks. Remember, the only stock, all the money in the market is going to this one sector that makes the machines, the other sector who buys the machines. That's simple. I've been telling my gang members for months and months. I said, just stay with the chip sector. That's where all the money is. And we have some of the returns we have are 40%, 30%, because that's where we've been in the chip sector. It's the only thing is doing well. Now let's get to the job numbers. Now this really is upsetting, the job numbers. Play that again.
What do you make of all these numbers? You do this every day.
It's you started off talking about a temperature check. I say sizzling. That's the temperature, sizzling.
Unbelievable. So let's take and unload the job numbers, okay? Sizzling. Really? Sizzling? Okay, 177,000 jobs. They went nuts. But these are $16 to $22 an hour jobs. Here's what they don't tell you about sizzling. Full-time jobs dropped by 100,000, while part-time jobs increased by 200,000. Multiple jobs, this is the dangerous one, multiple jobs increased by 100,000. The third month in a row that you have multiple jobs, and it's telling you people have no money, they're out getting 2 and 3 jobs. That's sizzling? These people are nuts. Now, let's take a look at these wages. All these jobs, the 177,000 jobs, they suck. They're bad jobs. They're restaurants, bars, hotels, healthcare. They don't pay anything. And here's the thing I love. They'll say, oh, wages up 3.9%. Inflation's only 3.3%. Come on, give me a break. Are you kidding me? What deception. That's just totally deception. To say that inflation is 3.3%, which they lie anyways, but let's just use that number, and 3.9%, right, is our growth, our wages rather. It's deceiving on paper. See, on paper, it looks like workers are getting paid, but the problem is the new jobs are low-wage jobs. Full-time work is dropping. Part-time work is rising. So on paper, yeah, it looks like, well, wages are up 3.9%, inflation is 3.3%, but when you actually do the math and you start looking, the big problem, the new jobs are low-wage jobs. The full-time work is dropping by 100,000 jobs in April. Everything's part-time. So if you really look at it, wages are flat. Sizzling? What are they, nuts? It's just amazing how they have the nerve to get on TV and just sit there and lie. Now, I don't think Hannity's lying. He just doesn't know anything. He knows nothing about the stock market. He doesn't even know what it is. He doesn't know what it is. But Payne does. He knows what the market is. He's just not telling the truth. Remember, people that work for Wall Street, it's all about Wall Street. They got to make you feel good. They want you to go buy, right? So let's think about this. So you have, again, out of 11 stock sectors, 11, a tiny group of companies drove 3/4 of the 2% GDP. AMAT, ASML, Lamb, and Clack. They make the machine. They sell them for $300 million each. And they make the machines for Intel, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, and Google. That's where the money goes. We've been doing this now, putting money in there for the last, 8, 9, 10 months. I told my members that's where our money's got to go. Now, the economy, remember, has 4 components. Consumer spending, government spending, net exports, and business investment. There's only one that's on its feet. Business investment. Consumer spending? What are you, nuts? Personal bankruptcies are up 12%. Business bankruptcies are up 18% for the first quarter. Consumers are not participating in GDP at all. It's business investment. The only business investment sector did well is the machines that they make to make chips. And then a handful of companies, there's 5 of them, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, Microsoft, Micron, and Broadcom. I think I got them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. They buy the machines. That's it. So when you look at the stock market and you go through the 11 sectors, they're doing nothing. They're all depending on the same thing, these chips. Now, I'm not complaining. We did terrific. As I say, we're up 30, 40%, most of our stocks even more, because that's where the money is. You got to follow the money. So the next time you hear, play those cuts again. Those cuts just drive me nuts. Go ahead.
What do you make of all these numbers? You do this every day.
It's you started off talking about a temperature check. I say sizzling. That's the temperature, sizzling.
Are you kidding me? Sizzling. This is insane. It's the same thing when everybody keeps asking, how come Trump's so patient? Even when they attack our ships, he's not going back to full-scale bombing like he did in the beginning. Why? Because we have a deficit every day of 5.2 trillion. We take in less. We need 5.2 trillion a day. We don't take it in. We got to pay our bills. We got to keep the lights on in Washington. It's no joke. Every business has to have money coming in to pay the bills. We're lacking 5.2 trillion a day. Now, the people who loan to us, the Europeans and the biggest banks in the United States, they'll loan money, but they no longer want to loan us money over 10 years, 20 or 30 treasuries. Because we're too risky. They want to loan us over weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 7 weeks, 16 weeks, with a higher rate. How Trump gets around that is by not ending the war. Every time Trump can put out a headline like, "Oh, we're working with good people now," or we're close to signing a contract. I mean, he's got a list of about 10. He rotates them. And every time he does that, what happens? Oil will drop right away. Oh, the war's over. He said he's got a contract. He's got 1 day. He's going to go to sign it. Oil drops. When oil drops, you anticipate inflation coming down. And the Europeans and the biggest U.S. banks, when they anticipate inflation coming down, they don't want the T-bills anymore. They want the 20s and the 30s. And so Trump will put in a statement, a news release, to move oil down. That's how he's doing it. So every time you hear another statement, oil drops, that means inflation drops. That means the banks and the Europeans now will change their mind. Instead of wanting short-term T-bills, they want long-term, exactly what Trump wants. That's why you're not seeing an end to this. That's why he's keeping this going and going and going and going. That's how he's paying the deficits every day. So be careful what you listen to. Join my gang, Phil's gang, where you get the truth.